fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my God! Oh. Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Section's very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome one and welcome all to SimSpeed TV once again. It is a Tuesday night, bi-weekly, and you know what that means. It is the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup presented by Sam Blacklock Media. It's round 4 of Season 6, which goes for the whole year here in 2022. And we're at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, formerly known as Mosport and still known as Mosport to just about everyone. It's a very fast and flowing circuit, should provide some fantastic racing here tonight. We got 2 races, a sprint and then a feature. And to bring it to you all live here on SimSpeed TV is myself, Reese Gardner, with Nick Skrayev joining me in the commentary box for this round. G'day, Nick. It's your first time in on this series, but being here for every round, I can assure you we're in for a fun night.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me there, Reese. I had myself muted. I'm sure I've done that a whole bunch of times. Yeah, I'm absolutely having a bit of a 10,000-foot view here of the AOG Porsche Cup. Coming into it without doing any much research whatsoever, but I'm sure that you'll be able to definitely explain it well.
Indeed. Well, here's where we're racing tonight. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's been around since the early 1960s and designed very well. In terms of that, it's a very old school circuit. There's grass right by the racing surface. As you can see, most of the corners very fast and flowing. The slowest corner on the circuit is Moss at the hairpin down there at the northern end of the racetrack. But certainly there's no shortage of overtaking opportunities here, Nick. You can certainly fling one into Quebec corner, also into the S's off the Mario Andretti straightaway. But there's plenty of opportunities to defend your position going into the last corner at White's corner.
Yeah, absolutely. I think such a favourite too here at Mosport is the big undulation as well, especially through turn 1 in Quebec there, especially with these Porsches as well. A little bit of aero, a lot of rear-wheel drive power as well, so a lot of throttle modulation as they go through those big sweepers. And then, of course, you really can't line up anyone for that start-finish line, a very short straight to that start-finish straight.
Yeah, very short start-finish straight, which means a very short run into the incredibly fast and slightly downhill turn 1. We'll see if there's any opportunity for pile-ups there. Hopefully not. This is how things stand in the championship at the moment. Cooper Webster has been the star driver of the season so far, taking a good amount of wins under his belt, but the same can be said for Job Stewart. They're a long way ahead of the rest of the field at the moment. Shepard and Albert separated by not that much. Bo Albert and his teammate at Altus Esports, Jordan Caruso, not separated by anything either. Our top Pro-Am driver there, Tyson Broad, in 9th overall, and Nicholas Garriott has taken the championship lead in the AM class. He's looking pretty good there, about 60 points ahead of Jabin Wood in 15th place. So that's how things are at the moment, and Job Stewart and Cooper Webster will be fighting as hard as they possibly can over the course of this season. We'll see how well they do here, as that's the race format down in the bottom left. We've got 2 qualifying groups here. The drivers are in the qualifying session at the moment. We got our AM class and half of our Pro-Am class out there on track at the moment, but it's certainly going to be interesting going into the second race there. You would have seen that the second race is longer. It's going to be a reverse top 10 and a pit stop required, so a little bit more for the drivers to work with here tonight, but their focus will be on the 16-lap sprint first.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just having a good look there at the 110 car. So much bumping there. It's you forget how much undulations there is here at Mosport Park. The Porsche's obviously being a production car. a race car based on a production car as well. You can see even just in those braking zones, just how much they bump and weave there. Nicholas Garage there coming around the back of the circuit at the moment.
Garrick's teammate is Kyle Booth. That's where they get their team name from, and slightly dipping a wheel off into the gravel. Doesn't look like that lap has counted for Nicholas, our AM Class Championship leader. What about Ben Snell, one of our Pro-Am drivers here today? Snell has had potential for some good results over the course of this season, but hasn't quite come together for him apart from a couple of top 10s, so we'll see what he can do out there on track at the moment. Just coming up to the end of his first qualifying lap and a nice clean exit out of the final corner. 1 minute 18.0. That gives him provisional pole ahead of Kyle Booth. Now, the times that we've been seeing from the front of the field are in the high 116s, which certainly shows a bit of a pace difference here, but these guys will likely be fighting in the midfield to the lower half of the field. And also you got to remember that there's 3 classes, the Pro, the Pro-Am, and the Am. So while they're all racing out on track at the same time tonight, they're not directly competing against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. What an early pole there for Ben Snell. Such a man of many talents. Seen him in the open wheelers, in production cars, kind of everything. And such a great beard as well. So great work there by Ben Snell. Getting that early jump, though, would be expecting, though, just as I say that, Nicholas Garrick taking it back by about 600ths of a second there at the moment. So, gee, these times are really starting to tumble down.
First car into the 117s in qualifying as Adam Marsh begins another lap. 4th in the session at the moment. Snell might be able to respond to Nicholas Garrick at the moment. Let's see if he can get into the 117s himself. He can. 917 to be exact, and that will put him back onto provisional pole. Looking very close here between the 141 and the 66.
To say that no one's really getting a massive edge. These two have just been taking out less than 100th of a second for each there. Robert Cook aborting that lap very, very early on there, just before the start-finish line there. Matt Kidd coming through. 118.4 there, so sitting around that 5th place here at the moment.
Let's see what Nicholas can do here coming into the final couple of corners. It's a very short lap here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. You can fit quite a few laps in on a run, and staying out on track is usually the best idea in these Porsches with how long the tyres last. Look at that. The times just continue falling down into the 17.6s now for Nicholas. So shall be interesting to see what Ben Snell can do to respond to that. A couple of cars coming out of the pits behind him. Jay Schultz and, of course, Ben Snell out for another run. Dean Powell in the 999 working his way up, but looks like he's decided to abandon that lap. There is a no escape rule in the races, but not in practice and qualifying, so the drivers will be able to just pull over to the side of the circuit and escape back to the garage. Steve Griffiths is another driver who has certainly shown great potential in the AM class as of recent. He'll set a 1 minute 18.9, and looks like that's not an improvement on his current time. 0.3 slower than what he's run so far. Well, Ben Snell on this outlap, he's not going to have all that much left. The drivers only get, I think, 13 minutes or so in order to get themselves out there. And race control will advise everybody when there is the checkered flag. You'll be able to complete a lap that you're on, but certainly you'll have to make sure that you're done within the time you want. Adam Marsh, let's see what he can do then. Can he improve on a 119.4? 1 minute 18.7 there for Adam Marsh. That is not an improvement on the 18.4 that he set before.
Ooh, just running a little bit wide there. Onto the grass, probably got about half a wheel on the grass there. Kyle Booth potentially on his outlap here at the moment. I'm going to say Ben Snell coming out of the pits there behind Nicholas Garrick, but not close enough there to really pull a tow. Not really so much as a towing circuit, even though it does have that long Mario Andretti straight though, but it's You can just see these corners. It's just these constant sweeping corners there. You can just see all about just finding that limited adhesion there with those front tyres. Here we've got Dean Powell coming through for a fast one, potentially. Might be that lap.
Looks like that's the case. Well, Joe Schultz for Blue Collar Auto Sport into the final couple corners now. Very challenging sequence of bends, this one. You've got to go slower and slower for each one in succession. It's all about car balance through here and trying to navigate those bumps. Let's see if Jay can improve on 8th. 1:19.0 for him. No, he can't do it. That's 5/10 slower than what he ran before. But considering how the tyres work in this Porsche, if you go out on track, just setting one lap is usually not the order of the day because the tyres do take a little bit of time to get to their good operating range. Stephen Griffiths, meanwhile, has improved on his time. He's gone up to 5th now, and if he commits to this lap, he may well go even faster. It's a bit of a gap ahead to Wood and Booth in the 1:18.1s. Let's see what he can do then across the line. 1:18.7. Unfortunate there for Griffiths, not able to improve that time. But 11 cars have set times so far. And looks like that's all we're going to get in this first half of the qualifying session as Powell comes across the line. 1:19.7. A few drivers here not getting close to the times that they've set at the moment.
Let's ask you there, Reese, as well. So being such a newcomer here to this Porsche Cup, is it open like open settings and open
Yes.
setups? Or it is. Yeah, I was going to say because quite a lot of adjustability in these Porsche Cup cars, even though that they produce such crazy close and great racing there, can get a little bit of an edge on there. And I imagine that there is, especially in some of these top tier teams, quite a lot of work goes into the background there for some of these car setups.
Yeah, the AOG Porsche Cup was fixed setup for most of its existence as Kyle Booth catches the grass on the way to the final corner, straight into the barrier. That is that run abandoned. He's not going to have much time left to get another lap in, try to improve his position. Yeah, it was fixed setup for the majority of the time the series has been around, but AOG have decided to open up the setups for this season. They do give you a tuned setup that they've created just in case you don't want to put time into setting up the car yourself, because it is quite a bit of a time investment if you want to get the best out of it. But by and large, we have a lot of drivers using their own setups here as Marsh. That was a big lock up into the penultimate corner and spinning out of the final corner and having to get on the brakes there is Adam Marsh. Dear oh dear. That's a run ruin there for Adam. Fortunately, out of the way of Jay Schultz, who goes 1:19.6. Still no improvement there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a tricky corner to spin on. Thankfully, no incidents. That is the checkered flag, though, out for this first session. So we are going to see our pro cars as well come out there. Steve Griffin's, whether or not able to get that lap finished.
I'm pretty sure he will be able to. Started it before the checkered flag came out. Not quite using all of the road through the last few corners, though. He's electing to practice the pit entry this time around. And the pit entry at Mosport is one that you definitely need to practice. You're braking quite hard for a very tight right-hander on the way in. Let's see if Powell commits to the end of his lap in the 999. He's currently 11th and last of the drivers that have set times. Has to improve on a 19.0, and he does. 1:18.898, but that's not going to be enough to elevate him past Matt Marsh. Now we turn our attention to Ben Snell. He's had provisional pole taken from him by the AM class leader Nicholas Gariich, and it looks like Snell not electing to try and get that position back. Into the pits he goes, and now we have a very short intermission before the pro class drivers come out. Here are the results then, as they stand very close between Nicholas Gariich and Ben Snell. Kyle Booth and Javin Wood Separated not by much either, about half a tenth between them, with Jai Schultz completing the top 5. It's Steve Griffiths, Adam Marsh, and Matt Kidd there as well. Robert Cook, the second of our Pro-Am class cars, with Matt Marsh rounding out 10 cars, and the final car, Dean Powell, 1.2 seconds off the time that Nicholas Garriich set. Coming up to the last 15 minutes of the session now, and the checkered flag has officially been thrown for Group 1. And now we get to see the big guns come out onto the racetrack. Looks to me like Job Stewart is here, but Cooper Webster is not, as everyone makes their way out of the pits in Group 2. Basically the top half of the field, if you want to be very general about it. Bo Albert out on track just behind Corey Shepherd, and Shepherd has been one of those drivers that's been threatening for podiums, for wins throughout this season. Certainly has it in him to do that. So does Bo Albert. In fact, luck hasn't quite been on Bo Albert's side so far this season, with a crash at Watkins Glen, a couple of mistakes last round at Barber Motorsports Park. But he does enjoy Mosport, so let's see what the 06 can do as well as the 718. But Job Stewart, you might think he has a free kick in the championship standings with Cooper Webster being absent, but there's 3 drop rounds for this series. So you don't have to turn up for every single round of the championship. You've just got to make sure that the results you do get are consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great seeing so many of these top names come out as well. We usually see Altus so strong there, but surely Job Stewart there in Pursuit Sim Racing. It's definitely going to be one to watch as well here as well. And very much like our first session, we're probably not going to see too much in the way of times really starting to come down, but yeah, definitely as these tyres progress and warm up, definitely see them times tumble.
Oh, looked like a big slide there for Job Stewart out of turn 2. This lap probably isn't going to be his quickest. Got to be very careful on the exit here. This Porsche, with its rear engine layout, you've got to be very precise with when you get on the throttle, because the car doesn't want to really rotate in the mid-corner off acceleration thanks to the engine being over the rear axle. Once you get on the throttle, you can get some nice rotation in it, but you have to be careful about when you apply it, and that is really shown here with those thin curbs on the exit of these corners and grass just beyond them. The track is different in the real world now. There's tarmac runoffs at quite a few of these corners, but not so in iRacing. You really have to respect the track limits.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to note with the Porsches as well, you really can't fling them coming into the corners, as we saw a little bit earlier. I think quite a lot of the Porsches come backwards into the apex of the corner. It's, yes, such a tricky beast, these rear-wheel drive Porsches, but yeah, it looks so great coming around here in Canada.
Well, Thomas Hinz here, working his way through Moss, the difficult double apex hairpin that goes up and over a hill. Seems like a nice clean exit there. As the first lot of drivers have set times, it's Bo Albert on provisional pole there, with Corey Shepherd only a tenth behind him, even less than that. And Stewart and Flock in the pursuit cars rounding out the top 4 there. Nicholas Garriich, the AM class pole setup, still in 5th, and it looks like there's been a problem for Job Stewart out on track. He, I think, overshot Moss and has gone back to the garage. Matt Bowler is going to set a time here. Let's see where he puts himself. That's not going to count there for Matthew Bowler. Thomas Hinz as well, just starting a hot lap there at the moment. Once again, it seems Bo Albert coming out behind Corey Shepherd. That's really helping him, I think. The draft can be very important here at Mosport, particularly down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Yeah,
absolutely. So we do see Corey Shepherd, both Shepherd there and Bo Albert there, down into the 1:16.793. Wow. So absolute blinder of a lap. It actually does look like he is going to back out of that one and jump back in the car, maybe some fresh tyres, and do it all over again here. We've got Joshua Van Treek coming over the line as well, 180 and 7. So that is going to put him about 19th position there as well. So he'll be surely pushing on, try and get closer to that top 10.
Yep, car 97 on a 118.7. Matt Bowler now also part of the Pursuit Sim Racing crew up to the end of his first timed lap of the session. Thomas Hinz still also out there too, but wondering if he's made a mistake somewhere along the way. He's a lot more distant from Matt Bowler. Bowler goes to 6th. Where does Hinzy put himself? 28th at the moment and up to 14th on a 118.312. Now, he was able to get into the mid-117s in the practice session, so I could expect Hinzy to be threatening for the top 5 at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we've seen in the championship so much here for AOG, it could still definitely be anyone's game here at the moment. Alex John there from Top Split Racing, letting Ryan Jones through. So Ryan Jones, we haven't really seen a time from him as of yet.
Yeah, Jones missed out on the previous round at Barber Motorsports Park because he doesn't like the track. He's taking advantage of the 3 drop rounds in that case. Let's see how well the privateer does. Bringing car 11 across the line for a 118.402. That will put him in 18th position so far. A little bit off from what he would expect. I usually see Ryan fighting for top 10s in this series. So let's see what he can do. Let's see what Thomas Hinz can do as well. 14th at the moment, a bit far off from where he would expect to put himself and where we would expect him to be. Into the 117s? Yes, a 17.9. That gives him 2 more positions, up to 12th. These times are looking incredibly close. There's a lot of drivers there in the high 117s.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a bit of a clip of the grass there by... That was Sebastian Vandel. I think one thing to note as well was seeing so many of the Scops drivers as well. Mosport being such a popular track there in the Scop series as well, so it really lends itself to how many drivers in particular. You'd have to say almost the entire field, if not definitely the top 10. How many laps that they've done around Mosport at this really high speed.
Let's see what speed Job Stewart gets up to on the Mario Andretti straight on his way down to the last few corners here. So difficult to line up the turn in for this one. You have to late apex. It looks like a top speed of about 255 kilometers an hour there for Job Stewart. That is quite rapid. Manages to nail the turn in for the most part in the final corner, uses all the curb on the exit, and it's a 17.1 there for Job Stewart. Pips his teammate Sebastian Flock to 3rd place, but still the fastest driver is Bo Albert, and he is some margin ahead. Stewart, I think, is going to need some slipstream assistance if he wants to fight for pole here.
Yeah, it was almost like Corey Shepherd had put himself at a slight disadvantage. You'd have to say that potentially if Corey was the trailing car, he might have just had that little bit of an edge over Bo Albert. What a paint there, though, by Tyson Broad coming over the line.
And gaining 2 positions himself as he brings that OMR Esports car down to turn 2. And that section of the track he's going through there, the run between turn 1 and turn 2, traditionally a site where we would see some start crashes when everyone's trying to make it 2, maybe 3 wide through turn 1 with a very short run towards it. You're going to see them potentially running off into the grass on the exit, spinning and going across the track. But the drivers, I would presume, will be quite careful on their way into turns 1 and 2 for the first time tonight. Stewart navigating the final turn for the 4th time in this qualifying session into the 1:16s, and that's good stuff there for Job Stewart. Hinzy, meanwhile, improves as Stewart has a little bit of an incident. Only 3 thousandths between Corey Shepherd and Job Stewart there. So that's basically like an instant earlier throttle application or an instant later turn in at this point. Anything you do can make the difference at that stage.
Yeah, absolutely. So Job coming back on track there. I think that was the one of the 50 Motorsport cars that he will be in behind. Potentially might be able to give him a bit of a tow there. We did see him all those laps that he had set so far. He was pretty much without that draft. Just seeing a few more of our cars come through here at the moment. That is Cameron Dance. Oh, don't go too far up in the grass. I think, especially on that corner in particular, once you're in the grass, there's very not much you can do from collecting that wall there. Alex John down in 21st at the moment. Pretty close here at the back of the field, not having any improvement though.
Well, Alex John will be riding high. As part of the Logitech G V8 Scops support series, we run the flat sixes using these very same cars, and Alex ended up taking victory in the second race at the Red Bull Ring, so certainly showing that he has what it takes to win in these cars. Joshua Van Treek then, let's see if he can improve on 22nd, 118.4. That gives him one spot there, putting Alex John down to 22nd.
Yeah, absolutely. So great run and a good showing there by the top split
Bowler
team there. Matt Bowler though setting a quite a good time there. It's put him well inside the top 10, up in the 7th place. So that'll be a great spot to start with. Actually splitting there Garrick and Ben Snell from our earlier qualifying session.
Meanwhile, Ryan Jones has improved incrementally. He's up to 16th now in the standings, but I tell you what, that time from Nicholas Garriich is, from the first session, really showing that Garriich has what it takes to potentially even fight for top 5s in this series, despite being in the AM class. He's still P6 in the midst of all these times being set by the pro guys. Alex John improves to 18th. Meanwhile, he's gotten down to a 1 minute 18.353. But Cameron Dance here, one of the drivers in this series that you would expect to be fighting up in the top 5. He's currently in 9th at the moment on a 1 minute 17.8. If he can just gain a 10th, he will nab one spot from Ben Snell, but he's committing to the end of this lap and it's looking pretty fast. Let's see what he can do then. 17.4 for Cameron. That puts him up to 5th. Thomas Hinds now down to 6th. Matthew Bowler improves to 7th place. He is now down below a 1 minute 17.6.
Yeah, absolutely. So it does split our pro and our AM pro car there of Nick Garrick and Ben Snell. So got a pro lockout there all the way down to 7th place. I do maybe think, though, Job Stewart might have another one in him.
Yes. We've already gotten the 2 minute warning some time ago. So obviously the drivers now monitoring how much time they've got left. Stewart on a timed lap at the moment and coming down into the final 3 corners. Stick to the inside on exit here so you can get on the brakes and open up the entry into the penultimate corner. Try not to use too much of the curb and definitely avoid the curb on the inside at the final corner. All of the curb across the exit. Nicely done there, Job. A 17.2 for Job. Actually, sorry, it's Sebastian Flock that we were watching there, but 16.945 is the fastest lap for Job Stewart, not able to improve on that. Sam Muir, meanwhile, improves to 10th place, and it seems Bo Albert at this stage is pretty safe for pole position.
Yeah, you'd have to say it would have to be a real outside chance there, as we do see. I think that is Thomas Hinds off into that grass. That will be his run done there. Checkered flag is out, so any lap that you're currently on there, I think Tyson Broad potentially might be able to make maybe a couple of spots here and there with that 118. Actually, no, it wasn't a 118. I think it was around that high 117 mark there, so potentially another one there, but looks like he was about a second or so from his fastest on that previous lap.
Yeah, 118.1 is Tyson Broad's fastest lap so far, down in 14th place in the standings. Nice clean run into the final turn here and keeps it clean on the exit too, not getting into the grass. 18.0, that's an improvement for him. That's going to nab him one spot over Kyle Booth, up to lucky 13 for Tyson Broad. Job Stewart, meanwhile, Oh, wow. Going to a 1 minute 16.8 in the dying moments of the session and up into second place. Only 0.031 there between Stewart and Albert as Van Treek spins across the line. Ryan Jones, well, okay, he tried his best there to avoid a car that ended up no longer being there. Either way, that's the final few seconds of the session run and done. And we can go through the grid for the first of our two races tonight, the 16-lap sprint. Bo Albert and Job Stewart on the front row. It's Corey Shepherd and Sebastian Flock on the second row. Fifth and sixth, Cameron Dance and Thomas Hinz, two drivers that have plenty of experience racing each other. Matt Bowler on row 4 with our AM pole sitter Nicholas Garriich. And Ben Snell will take the Pro-Am class pole with Sam Muir, Simon Mazzomo and Sebastian Vandel rounding out the top 12.
Yeah, outside that top 12 there, Tyson Broad, Kyle Booth, Javin Wood there, Ryan Jones we just saw on that last lap there. Jay Schultz there, Alex John there on row 9. I'm going to go across the page there. Steve Griffins and Adam Marsh there in running out our 20th positions there. So Matt Kidd, Joshua Van Treek, Robert Cook and Matt Marsh there on row 12.
And the last driver to set a time, Dean Powell in the 13th row. Dylan Burse and Steve Black are there in the session, but did not set times in qualifying. Let's see if they end up taking to the grid. Doesn't look like it for the time being. Reminder of what we've got here, 16 laps, but if we do get a safety car, it's likely we'll go time certain to 20 minutes. It's the same deal for race 2, 28 laps and a 35-minute limit. Don't forget, they got to reverse the top 10 for the race 2 start, and a pit stop is required. But the drivers will be focusing entirely on racing to the flag here in the first race of the night. Now, what does Bo Albert do here? He has to focus on getting the best launch possible. He knows how competitive Job Stewart is in this series, and they don't have Cooper Webster in the picture this round, so that's effectively a free position for quite a few of these drivers. But don't forget about the run between turns 1 and 2. The line narrows up, and you've got to be very careful on cold tyres how you navigate that turn, especially side by side in a huge pack of Porsche 911, 992 GT3 Cups. The revs rise. We're getting ready to go here. The AOG Porsche Cup, round 4 at Mosport is go. And that's a good start from Albert. Not a great launch from Job Stewart, though. And also the same for Corey Shepherd. Sebastian Flock almost got a run on them, but he filters in behind as they go through turn 1 for the first time, side by side between Nicholas Garriich and Cameron Dance. And it looks like a nice clean start from everybody. There's no start crash like I observe. But actually, coming into turn 2, we've had a couple of cars come together. That's 2 of them off. Sebastian Vandel and Jay Schultz, both with very heavy damage to their front ends.
Yeah, Jay Schultz there hitting the wall super hard there. Gee, Job Stewart straight under that rear spoiler of Bo Albert. I did think Bo Albert might have had maybe a car length or two from that great jump on the line there, but you'd have to say Job Stewart has reeled him all the way back in and will really mean even some more as they come down the Mario Andretti straight.
Looks to me like that incident with Sebastian Vandel losing it by himself over a bump in turn 2 ended up collecting Schultz, but here comes Job Stewart trying the move on Bo Albert at the third last corner, but Albert far enough ahead that he can keep that position. It's looking like a very close race here for the top 3. Stewart again right on the bumper of Albert as lap 1 of 16 is completed. So running order, it's looking pretty much the same throughout most of the top 10, but it's 2 positions gained for Matthew Bowler, 2 positions lost for Cameron Dance. Nicholas Garriich has fallen down to 9th place, but he still retains the AM class lead, which is good for him. But have a look at how much he's being pressured here by Simon Mazzomo, one of our Pro Class drivers, and up the inside goes Mazzomo. Brilliant move there, very opportunistic up the inside of Quebec corner, and it looks like Tyson Broad's going to get some of this as well, but he's going to be stuck on the outside here coming down the hill, has to yield. You go over that rise, and if you're on the outside, all you're going to do is understeer into the grass.
Oh, and geez, all over the place, Sarah. for Nicholas Garrick there. He did have that slight moment there on that second turn sweeper, and that just it plays so much into that momentum there. G. Tyson Broad all over that rear bar there, showing a little bit of a nose there. Not really a car width there.
Oh, Job Stewart round the outside of Bo Albert. Brilliant stuff. It gives him the inside for the penultimate corner, but Albert's going to fight it into the final turn. Has he gone too deep? Will Job Stewart get the over-under? Looks like he has. Good momentum there for the pursuit driver in the 35, and inside into turn 1. This is giving an advantage to Corey Shepherd. He's still right in the fight, but there goes Job Stewart, finally in front of Bo Albert, and he'll try and consolidate that as best he can, but the draft is always a massive threat.
Absolutely, you can just see how far back there Job Stewart's setting that up. They're all set side by side for about 5 corners or so. So great work there by Job Stewart though, but not all lost. It's really not one of those tracks there which they'll outdraft each other coming down the straight. It's more really trying to set up those little attacks there and just trying to find that gap.
Looks like Stewart's gotten a great launch out of Moss actually. Bo Albert losing a bit of time as a result, but the top 3 still in their own little breakaway group here versus the rest of the field. Looks like Sebastian Flock and Matthew Bowler bumper to bumper for Pursuit Sim Racing, as Albert, he got a great amount of momentum in the draft. He's right on the back of Stewart once again, but I don't think he's quite close enough to get a move done into the final corner. He's just going to have to wait for another opportunity on the next lap.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is you'd have to say 16 laps doesn't really sound very much like a sprint race, but with these Mosport laps are really only about 45 seconds or so. Super short laps, so you'd be those 16 laps will be done very quickly.
Yeah, we'd imagine in under 20 minutes at this stage as Job Stewart sets the fastest lap of the race. Brilliant pace from the pursuit driver and should take the championship lead, as that's Cameron Dance losing a position there to Matthew Bowler. Thomas Hinz has made his way up as well. Good drive from Hinsey after starting 6th. We'll get a virtual racing school replay to see what happened, and it looks like this was on the way into maybe out of turn 2. Cameron Dance actually looks like was already behind Bowler, but Bowler running incredibly wide in Quebec corner. We're going to have to go off the replay into live pictures again, because Bo Albert is up the inside of Sebastian Flock coming into the final corner. Stewart defends though, gets the inside. Brilliant stuff there. Now Corey Shepherd trying to make himself known in this pack. Had a little look up the inside of Albert as Stewart goes off the track there. Left side wheels into the grass, and Albert scything up the inside into turn 1. Stewart, though, getting a great exit around the outside of turn 1. He's going to be defensive into turn 2. Let's see what they can do here to try and keep their lines nice and stable. Looks like they've done it, but Stewart not getting the best exit. Albert around the outside, barely enough room given. This is great racing.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see these 3 aren't really pulling away from the rest of each other with so much of the battles there. So they group from about from 4th, 5th and 6th there, not too far away. So any mistake from these 3 and it can definitely be anyone's game for a podium.
Slight little wiggle, I think, from Job Stewart on the exit of Moss. And Albert's going to be well within the draft here. Can Shepherd do anything to upset the party for these 2? Job stays middle of the road, sticks to the inside. He's going to go defensive into the 3rd last turn here. Beautiful sweeping right-hander, this one. And Albert, I think, going a little bit too wide, just off the racing line, but still trying to squeeze it. Stewart gives him room. Oh, they make contact, and Albert falls back to 3rd.
Yeah, what a save there from Job Stewart and Bo Albert. They're so fortunate there. We are going to cut to a VRS replay. Have a good look at that. Started all the way back from the Mario Andretti straight, but you'd have to say started it all the way from the start of the race between these 2.
Yeah, it's been non-stop action from these 2, just coming together there on the way into the final corner. Stewart was trying to widen out the entry to the final turn as much as he could, but Albert was there on the outside, so ever so slight contact. Albert's dropped off the back of Stewart and Shepherd now, who are separated by just under half a second, and it looks like that's brought the rest of the pack into contention here. Sebastian Flock, Thomas Hinns, Matthew Bowler, Cameron Dance and Ben Snell. And there's a big gap back to Mazzomo, Broad and Garriich. Other than that, looks like everyone just running nice and stable for the time being. Here's what happened to Simon Mazzomo. He made a mistake, I think, at Moss. He was right on the back of Ben Snell just before, and that will explain it. A little bit too deep into the hairpin and getting off into the grass. Good job to actually get back on track for the second right-hander. Usually when you go off at Moss, it's very difficult to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, and very short runoff like we saw with a couple of incidents there in qualifying.
So that's how things stand at the moment. Corey Shepherd, though, starting to harass the back of Job Stewart. They're only separated by a few tenths of a second, and Shepherd taking advantage of the draft beautifully there. A 17.519 is the last lap for him. 17.589 for Job Stewart, and goodness me, the bumps that these guys have to deal with on the way into Moss. Shepherd, though, he is trying to widen the exit of Moss as much as he possibly can, but it seems that Stewart definitely has the throttle application down there, whatever they've done to that Pursuit Sim Racing number 35. But the slight bit of damage that he got from a little bit of contact earlier, it seems putting him at a slight disadvantage in a straight line. Shepherd, though, not able to carry as much momentum, and as you can see, Bo Albert is right on the back of them once again.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have to stay there for Bo Albert. Definitely a chance there. You'd have to say quite a lot of work, though, trying to get around Corey Shepherd there. These three still maintaining around that, it looks to be about 7/10 of a second or so from Bowler and Thomas Hinns and the likes there. So those three just not quick enough, though, to get onto the back of that leading group. Everyone else in their own little packs here at the moment, quite spread out for a sprint race.
Yeah, everyone's separated out into their own little battle packs. This fight here is for 17th. We've got Stephen Griffiths up at the front of it, followed by Matthew Kidd, Ryan Jones, and Dean Powell, who was the driver that qualified last here. Powell has done well to gradually work his way up through the field. There's been problems for the Marshes, Matt and Adam, but oh dear. Not the best there for Matthew Kidd. Bit of an error for him as Albert tries to get second back from Corey Shepherd. Just enough room given on the outside. He's going to have to yield once again. Does he have the pace to line up a move into the final corner? He'll have to get on the throttle early to do that, and it doesn't look like he's quite close enough to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. Gee, Bo Albert again, even closer, you'd have to say. Almost just trying to run a bit of a defensive line there on the back of Corey Shepherd here at the moment. Oh, it's you could not get any closer between those two. You have to say there, Bo Albert might be able to see Job just starting to pull away from Corey Shepherd, maybe making him a little bit impatient, so we could see a move from that Altus Esports car.
Yeah, sooner rather than later. We'll get a virtual racing school replay once again of Tyson Broad. Something went on with him coming down the final couple of corners. He's back into 13th place and just ahead of Alex John and Joshua Van Treek. He was up here with Nicholas Garriich just before. Trying around the outside. Oh, looks like he got a bit too much curb on the inside of the third last corner. Was there contact with Garriich? Does seem that way. Oh dear. No. Race control might have a little bit of a look at that. Broad was attempting to go defensive into the final corner, but Nicholas trying to commit to the inside. Looking a bit further up the field, this is the battle for fourth as the top three streak on away. We'll get a replay here of something that happened between Thomas Hinns and, it seems, Sebastian Flock. Making the move is Hinns into the third last corner, and a very nicely done manoeuvre at that.
Yeah, absolutely. So great with it. Work there by Hinz. Would take quite a lot of work though to bridge that gap, but you'd have to say with the amount of fighting there between Albert and Corey Shepherd, it could slow them down into that rut there. You can see that that time difference is about a second and a half from that leading pack there at the moment. He also has that car 84 all over the back of him at the moment, so you won't really be able to take those wider lines.
Yeah, it's very easy to pressure someone here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Don't forget that Sebastian Flock has a bit of assistance from his Pursuit Sim Racing stablemate, Matthew Bowler. But it looks like they're not able to make much of an impression on Thomas Hinz, and if the top three keep battling like they are, Bo Albert trying his best to harass the back of Corey Shepherd, that will bring Hinzy right into contention here for a potential podium position on board with the Altus 06 of Bo Albert. Then Shepherd keeping the exit nice and stable off of turn one, and you just see the sheer amount of elevation change that these drivers go through coming through turn two. It's so difficult to get this corner right, but it is the second half of the circuit where the moves are certainly made.
Yeah, absolutely. You just see that little bit of a gap there opening of, you'd have to say, possibly about half a second or so between Corey Shepherd. We do see Bo is just so strong here through this first part of the track there. You can just see how much he pulled him in there, coming in through that Moss turn there. Trying to get a good run there. Corey Shepherd maybe just accelerating that little bit better coming out of that tight corner.
But the momentum goes back with Albert in the slipstream. Shepherd defensive. I'm surprised that Albert didn't stick behind him for a bit longer. Maybe he's just thinking about lining up a move here. He knows that the gap to Job Stewart is not quite surmountable with the time left in the race. We're only going to have 5 laps to go when they cross the line. So I think Albert's main focus here is just to try and pass Shepherd, get second, and that'll give him a 9th place start for race 2 here tonight. Either way, having a look at Cameron Dance, he has managed to hold off Ben Snell and up into 7th place, but doesn't look like there's much of a chance of him getting up to the back of the 4th, 5th, 6th battle at this stage. Snell, though, still looking very fast. Through Moss Corner then. What does Snell have? Maybe a little bit tight of an entry in the second half of the hairpin, but he'll still have the draft. Speaking of draft, Corey Shepherd has caught right up to Job Stewart at the front of the field. Oh, and I'm just seeing some problems for Kyle Booth. He's fallen down the order to 15th. Looks like a spin at the Moss hairpin.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to cut to AVRS replays. I don't work out what exactly has gone on there. Oh, running a little bit wide there. I can see half a tyre, or just off on top of that curb though, is all it takes here with those Porsches, and it doesn't need very much there for that rear end to come around. 4 laps to go though at the moment. Job Stewart though, Corey Shepherd has done an excellent job. He was about a second back or so only a few laps ago, but he's found such a awesome amount of pace. He's almost bridged over from Albert all the way onto the back of that Pursuit sim racing car.
Brilliant stuff from Corey Shepherd, again showing his great potential in this series. Not going to be a move to be made down at the Moss hairpin, though he does have a slight look up the inside. It's more about setting up the exit and the slipstream. Such an interesting elevation change through there, it almost lifting the front right tyre off the ground on the way in. Let's see what Shepherd can do then. The momentum is with him. What does Stewart do? He's staying middle of the road and then sticking to the inside as the track curves to the right. So Shepherd, oh dear, Stewart blocking his advances coming down into these corners. Coming up to 3 laps to go now. Shepherd is looking very quick here in the final sector. He's lining up a move at the inside, but no, there's not much space there to get the move done. He's just ended up compromising himself as a result of that. Right back into the clutches of Bo Albert. As Ben Snell, oh no, sorry, that's Alex John with Sam Muir up the inside into the penultimate corner. Great move there from Alex John, but Muir's going to try and pressure him. John goes a little bit wide there. He's compromised his exit, and look who it's brought into the picture, Joshua Van Treek. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 1 potentially. No, Van Treek backs out of it. I think he knows that trying up the inside when you're 3 wide at turn 1 here at this track, not the best of ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. You can just see how many line options you really have through those first couple of turns, quite wide in that part of the track, but you can see not much has really separated these three the whole time there. Corey Shepherd, Job Stewart and Bo Albert. You can actually see that gap back to Thomas Hinz. Thomas pretty safe at this point in time. Ready to go though. It's starting to really heat up, and Corey Shepherd's really starting to find some pace.
It is indeed. And it looks like Race Control have decided that incident between Tyson Broad and Nicholas Gariich, no further action. Apparently, latency had something to do with that contact. Either way, now 2 laps to go with Corey Shepherd piling the pressure on Job Stewart. It's been a great drive from the Pursuit Sim Racing number 35. He's held off 2 of some of the best drivers in Porsche racing in AusNZ, at least in the absence of Cooper Webster. Let's see then what Corey Shepherd can do. Can he line up the exit he needs? I would think, though, unless he can get a huge gap on Job Stewart, you see him trying to line up a straight exit there, unless he can start gapping Stewart once he passes him, Stewart has every chance here of just passing him back on the next lap. So it's all about timing. You want to try and make the move as late as possible, but also make it stick.
To see such a shallow line there through the fastest part of the circuit though, but really not being able to make too much of a move there, but you are right. Oh.
Good exit there for Job Stewart as the white flag flies, but a slightly better exit for Corey Shepherd. Bumper to bumper, almost coming into turn 1. Here we go then. This is where the money is made in the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup. Stewart slamming on the throttle coming out of turn 2. Just trying to escape the 718 here, Corey Shepherd. And it seems to me that Stewart has this down pat if he can nail the exit of the Moss hairpin. Shepherd, though, still right on him. And don't forget Bo Albert lurking in the background as well. Not so much in the background, it's more the mid-ground at this stage. Shepherd lining up the exit well. He's going slow in, fast out. Let's see if that translates into the run he needs. But Stewart, crucially, has a couple of car lengths gap here on the 718. Oh, goodness. This is going to be a tight one as Albert gets in the draft of Shepherd to the outside then for the last couple of corners. This might be a race for second at this stage if they keep fighting as they are, but Shepherd gets a slightly better run into the corner, trying up the inside of Job Stewart. It doesn't look like there's going to be any opportunity to make any further moves there. Albert giving Shepherd perhaps a tiny little bump, but Job Stewart is going to run the race here. He wins from Shepherd and Albert, and I think Bo Albert is going to be looking for something a little bit better here tonight. Remember, he did qualify on pole position. There's our AM class winner, Nicholas Gariich, 10th place overall. Still an excellent drive for him. And our top Pro-Am class driver was Ben Snell, who finished in 8th. So an excellent drive there from all 3 of our classes. Largely quite a clean race, which I'm happy to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It was only a few casualties, I think one being Ryan Jones. So great to see some good attrition there.
Well, here are the results then. Stewart, Shepherd and Albert covered by half a second at the line. Thomas Hinz a further 2 seconds behind there, with Sebastian Flock rounding out the top 5. Bowler and Dance 6th and 7th. Then it's Ben Snell who takes the Pro-Am class win ahead of Simon Mazzomo, with Nicholas Gariich rounding out the top 10. That's the M class win for him.
Yeah, outside of our top 10 there, Tyson Broad, didn't see too much of him keeping it nice and clean there, 11th place. Alex John Joshua Van Treek, Sam Merrick, Kyle Booth doing great in the AM class there in position 15th, Javin Wood, Ben Powell, Matt Marsh, Matt Kidd and Steve Griffiths there running out our top 20.
Coming home in 21st was Adam Marsh, and the last finisher of the race, Sebastian Vandel, involved in that contact with Jai Schultz up at turn 2 on the first lap. Unfortunately, Ryan Jones suffered a big problem that we didn't catch. He retires, classified 4 laps down. And we've got Robert Cook in the server now, so let's see if he takes the grid for race 2. See if Dylan Burst and Steve Black do as well. We've got a little 5-minute warm-up session here in between the races, which is going to give us a bit of time here to check out the schedule for the rest of the season. And it is a big championship, this one. 20 rounds across the course of the year. We got Mid-Ohio coming up for the next round in 2 weeks' time, and round 6 is subject to change. It was set for Homestead Miami Speedway, but apparently there's going to be another track put on there, and we're not quite sure which one yet, but this is a great looking schedule, Nick. I'm particularly looking forward to the last few rounds of the season. We go to Phillip Island, then take a quick detour to Japan, and then it's Winton, Oran Park and Sandown, an Australian trio to finish off the series.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely Sandown would have to be my local track here as well in Victoria, so it'd be great to see that up on the service. Winton was very exciting as well. Seeing that come out. I haven't had the chance to turn a lap though, but I am looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've already turned some laps around Winton myself, and it looks and feels amazing. I can't wait to see some Sim Racing League action on there. Well, in these last 2 minutes and 40 seconds of the warm-up session, we'll take a very quick break here on SimSpeed TV. We'll be back very shortly for the 28-lap race 2. Don't forget, inverted top 10 and a compulsory pit stop. You're watching the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup, round 4 from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
You're watching the Aussie Online Gaming Porsche Cup presented by Sam Blacklock Media here on SimSpeed TV. A very fun race we just had there to open up the night, but now we get into the real meat of it, the feature, with 28 laps. And I'll correct myself from before. It's not a compulsory pit stop, but the car is not going to be fueled enough to complete the entire race on a single tank. If there's a safety car, that might very well change. I'm Reese Gardner. It's Nick Scarrier alongside me in the commentary box with Jay Kennedy on production. And the warm-up session has just reached its end, so we'll go very quickly into the grid for race 2. An inverted top 10 for this one, and that means the first place is going to be our AM winner from the first race, Nicholas Garriich. He lines up on pole position. Awesome to see alongside Simon Mazzomo, Ben Snell and Cameron Dance on the second row. 5th and 6th, Matt Bowler and Sebastian Flock. 7th place is going to be Thomas Hinz and Bo Albert in 8th, with the top 10 rounded out by Corey Shepherd and race 1 winner Job Stewart. The rest of the field is pretty much the finishing order from race 1, led by Tyson Broad and Alex John in 11th and 12th.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Joshua Van Treek, Sam Ur, Kyle Booth, Javin Wood there, Dean Powell and Matt Marsh on row 9. Over the page we'll go to Matt Kidd, Steve Griffins, Adam Marsh, Sebastian Vardnell, Ryan Jones we did see with a few issues a little bit earlier on, and then Jai Schultz in that 24th position.
With Robert Cook presumably taking up the final spot on the grid, not too sure. But Dylan Burst and Steve Black have not raced in race 1. I don't think we can expect them out so far. Beautiful little tour of the grid here as the revs rise. We're getting ready to go. It's a very quick gridding time. And away we go. The best of starts from Ben Snell, slightly bogged down. He's going to have 3 wide with Matthew Bowler and Cameron Dance into turn 1. And that's going to work out okay between them. But there's a big crash in the back of the field there. It looks like Corey Shepherd involved and Job Stewart and Thomas Hinds as well for good measure. That's 3 of our top contenders pretty much out early. We are staying green though. No safety car for the time being. They've all managed to get going. But that is big dramas there for Stewart and Shepherd.
Yeah, and it's absolutely given that upper hand there to Bo Albert. Thankfully, managing to navigate his way around that. We'll have to cut to a VRS replay, I'm sure, once it all comes down here at the front here. Mizomo, though, doing a great job at the front there. Little bit of a gap there, about 5/10 or so to the rest of the field. He's getting away nice and cleanly, actually extending it as he's coming up the hill there, shaking that draft though. We did see another car 27 there. I think of Schultz has also had a slight moment as well.
Yeah, Tyson Broad, he spun out of the Moss hairpin, so he's lost a ton of positions out of that as Cameron Dance tries on Ben Snell, gets it done at the penultimate corner, and will go defensive. They got Bo Albert right with them there as well as Sebastian Flock. And Albert and Flock will know that they have the pace over these drivers. Don't forget they got to think about a pit stop in terms of this. So if they can't get by them on raw pace, maybe they would go for an early pit stop, try and get some clear air as this is the replay of the start. Here's what happened with Corey Shepherd, Thomas Hinds, and Job Stewart. Let's see what went on. Hinsey on the inside into the first corner, and it looks like might just get a little bit of understeer on. No, it even looks like Corey Shepherd might have turned down on him a little bit. They were very squeezed there in the first couple of turns, but either way, Stewart got involved in that with Shepherd and Hinds both impacting the tyre barrier with their rear ends. So that's certainly a big setback for those guys. They'll have to try and work their way up here. Thomas Hinds is in 21st at the moment, Shepherd 22nd, and Stewart 23rd and last. As we see the field making their way through, that's Bo Albert getting up the inside of Ben Snell, taking 5th position. So he and Cameron Dance gradually working their way forward on these guys. They got Nicholas Garriott just up ahead of them, the AM winner from previous race. So we get a virtual racing school replay once again here. This is the view on board from Tyson Broad of what happened at that start. You see Hinds and Shepherd there in the orange, red, and the green and white cars. Interesting view here. Well, Hinsey was holding his line. He did have a little bit of space to the right with the curb and the tarmac, but I think he was well within his rights to stay on the line that he was. I think Shepherd might have just expected him to cut the inside of the corner a little more. As there's a new leader, Matthew Bowler. Either way.
Yeah, great work there by Matthew Bowler, though. Just getting the edge there of Simon Mizomo. You can see just opening up a little bit of a gap there. Looks to be Cameron Dance. So Mizomo and Dance, these two very familiar with each other. We'll be having Albert also familiar to those two as well. All 3 of them will be coming back through rather quickly.
That they will. This is going to be interesting. Sebastian Flock, you see there in the background, going side by side with Ben Snell, and that's going to be move done for the pursuit number 84. But Cameron Dance and Bo Albert on the back of Simon Mizomo, those two very familiar with each other as well. That's a poor exit from Simon Mizomo, though, as there's moves being made. Ryan Jones trying to work his way back up, but Cameron Dance gets up the inside of Mizomo into the first corner. Late apex from Mizomo to try and maintain momentum, and he does indeed do that. Mizomo, Dance, and Albert Three drivers very familiar to us here at SimSpeed TV. Not only do they all race in the majority of the series we broadcast, but they've also had stints in the commentary box too. In fact, Cameron Dance is going to be joining me in the comms box for the Oceanic Dirt Sim Events 410 Sprint Car Championship tomorrow night, so you can tune in for that, as that's Nicholas Garriott, that's Simon Mazzomo there, having to make way. That is the lead replay there, the pass for Matthew Bowler, and goodness me, it was dramatic. Oh, how on earth did Bowler hold on to that? It's a very narrow line through turn 2. That took quite a bit of bravery and also quite a bit of courtesy from both drivers.
Yeah, it was a bit of a tense spot there, as you can see. Mazzomo running, just a little bit wide, actually pushed Bowler all the way off onto that dirty part of the circuit, though. You can see Cameron Dance around Mazzomo. So with these three now, goes Dance, Mazzomo, Bo Albert. You can see Mazzomo just showing a bit of a nose there at the moment, but you'd have to say Bo Albert would have just that stronger pace, though, out of these two.
Race control has decided no further action on the contact between Hinz and Shepherd at turn 1, and it makes sense to me. It did look like a bit of a racing incident, especially looking at it from the perspective of the cars behind. Hinz and Shepherd both matching speed and steering, yet came together on the exit of turn 1, race control says. And of course, Job Stewart was also involved in that. Stewart has made a visit to the pit lane in the last 3 laps, maybe to get a bit of damage repaired and also to top up the car. I'm pretty sure that Stewart might have just gotten enough fuel in the car to potentially get to the end of the race. And unfortunately, Ryan Jones losing positions there. Oh dear. That's on the exit of Moss Corner coming down the straight. Looks like he might have accidentally caught the grass or something like that. He did tell us after race 1 had concluded the reason he ended up retiring was actually catching the grass on the exit of Moss and spinning out as a result. Let's see what happened to him this time. He's pushing very hard, is Ryan. And oh dear.
Lock up there, and you can just see how much of a effect that's had.
And that's exactly what happened to him in race 1 there, catching the grass on the inside of the kink. And we'll get a correction here from race control. The pit window, if it stays green, opens at the end of lap 8. So Job Stewart is still going to have to come in. It looks like it was just repairs for him at that stop he just made. So Jones here now working his way back through. He's right in a pack of cars here as the 027 Ajay Schultz has to make room for Tyson Broad on the inside. Don't forget, Broad was one of the drivers that had a spin on lap 1 as well. And it looks like Schultz just yielding to him there on the run up to Moss. Not much point in fighting it when you know what the relative pace of these drivers is. Matthew Bowler still leads the way, but Cameron Dance and Bo Albert have gotten up into 2nd and 3rd, and it looks like Sebastian Flock is lining up Simon Mazzomo for a move. Does Mazzomo give him room there? Certainly not on the outside. Going to force Flock to yield on the way in. Does Flock pick up the throttle and go for the move at the final corner?
Great work there by Mazzomo, doing a great work defending so hard at the front here. The pace, you can just see that gap though opening up to Bo Albert a little bit further up the road between himself and Cameron Dance. Cameron Dance doing an excellent job there, keeping that pace, absolutely hammering along.
Hammering along indeed. It's been a good bit of side-by-side racing for the last couple of corners between Javin Wood and Sebastian Vandel, but they have sorted themselves out. Looks to me like, oh dear, that is big. Ryan Jones and Adam Marsh coming together, coming into turn 2. That is a huge incident. And Jones already dealing with some difficulties, has a huge amount of damage on his car now. Here's what happened coming into turn 2. Jones trying up the inside, but it looks like a bit of instability in the car. Just hit Marsh with some big understeer, and that's a huge smash there, tumbling over.
Yeah, so just Ryan Jones's night going from bad to worse there at the moment. He's not really inside that pit window either, so it looks like he potentially might have to jump on that tow hook coming through there. Bo Albert, though, through on Cameron Dance.
Up into 2nd. Good to see there. Maybe Bo Albert will take a race win tonight, but he's got a bit of ground to make up versus Matthew Bowler. Albert running the fastest lap on the previous lap, still quicker than Bowler by 0.2 on this previous lap here, as Adam Marsh, it seems, retiring just about. He's in the pits and out of the car as we ride on board with Ben Snell, working his way forward. Snell in 6th place. He's got Mazomo and Flock up ahead of him. Flock being the car closest, and see what Snell can do here, because Flock has had a tough time getting by Mazomo in the last couple of laps.
I have to say, I just noticed there Ben Snell taking a very, very shallow line into that last corner as well. You can actually see it's affected a little bit of his run coming through. At the moment, he's not going to be close enough to really make the most of that draft. They are coming up pretty quick, though, to Simon Mazomo. So, potentially a bit of a battle between those three.
Well, we'll continue to monitor that. We'll also monitor the lap times of the leader and the top 3. Albert, it seems, is a little bit closer to Matthew Bowler this time around. Let's see what the times are. 18.2 for Bowler, a 17.795 for Bo Albert. So gained quite a bit more on that last lap. This is the rest of the running order with the 110 of Kyle Booth just ahead of the likes of Stewart and Hinz. Ryan Jones has managed to get back out onto the racetrack with a 6.5 second stop. And the pit window is officially open now, as it looks like Javin Wood, it seems, has had a bit of an issue. So has Matthew Kidd. Corey Shepherd and Tyson Broad were in the midst of where those guys are. Something's gone very wrong for car number 369. I'm just going back to take a look now. It looks like he just ran wide coming through turn 2. Something that's very easy to do if you get your trajectory wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. It almost looked like he kept the boot in, but maybe just backed off a little bit. Very good save, though. Such a fast part of the circuit. You really don't want to be collecting those walls, though. We are seeing that needs Mazomo to that car 84. So these three holding off pretty well for the moment. You actually see potentially that car there in the back joining onto this group of 3, making it a group of 4.
Good stuff there. Nicholas Garriott still holding on here to the AM class lead. He's been far and away the star driver of the AM class this season as Corey Shepherd comes in for his pit stop. Remember, he was still carrying damage from that lap 1 incident with Thomas Hinz and Job Stewart. So he'll have a chance to get those repaired while he takes the necessary fuel to get to the end of the race here. And Job Stewart will move ahead of him. Meanwhile, Sebastian Flock still stuck behind Simon Mazomo. I tell you what, it's been a great defensive drive from the 551, the privateer, formerly of Fitstye and Drop Bear Motorsports. Great drive here from Mazomo. He's certainly shown that he can get good results in this series, and it seems that his skill just continues on that upward trajectory.
Yeah, it is such a great job. You'd have to say all these drivers, such a high caliber here at AOG. It's almost a bit tongue-in-cheek calling it an AM class, because even all the AM guys are just so highly skilled here. Mazomo doing an excellent job at the moment. They're in around that 8th position here at the moment. It does get tricky just trying to keep it pointing straight for 28 laps around here, as we've seen already so much through the incidents that we've caught up with.
And you saw that Simon got a trio of 8th place finishes at Barber Motorsports Park last round. He's a good competitor in the top 10, as there's the 027 of Jay Schultz, bringing the blue-collar car in. Ryan Jones, slow between turns 1 and 2. He's letting the top pack by as he goes a lap down. It's a real shame for Ryan. Certainly on for some consistent midfield finishes here, were it not for those slight errors getting into the grass. Let's see if Sebastian Flock can line up Simon Mazomo for 4th place. He's still not quite close enough, I think, to make a move into 3rd last corner, but the draft will certainly be with him. And who knows, maybe Flock is just lifting and coasting a little, trying to save a little bit of fuel. And of course, it's not imperative to save fuel in these cars. Races aren't usually decided by the amount of fuel you save, but if you can just breathe off the throttle at the end of the straights, you'll be able to save a few milliliters, which can make a difference in the pit stop.
Yeah, absolutely. It is something to take into account, so we didn't really have to worry about it there for the sprint race, but fuel saving, definitely a critical point here. You can see Albert just chipping away there at the moment. You'd have to say he's definitely in the hot seat to be head and shoulders above the rest for this round here at the moment. Hard on the brakes. Be great to see how his run does come out of that Moss corner into Mario Andretti straight.
Looks like a reasonably clean exit. But Bowler having no draft assistance. Look at how much that slipstream is worth for Bo Albert. He's going to shoot past Matthew Bowler around the outside to potentially take the lead of the race. Sweeps in ahead of the pursuit driver, and that is the lead secured. Great move there from Bo Albert. Now he'll be thinking about when to take his pit stop. He'll try his best here in the clear air to try and pull away, but Cameron Dance is still right with them too.
Yeah, and you'd have to say there's such a great effort there by Cameron Dance in that Fitzy car coming around. So getting very, very close there to the halfway point of the race there. So one more lap coming through, and it's really going to be all eyes on that pit lane potentially.
Getting a message from our director, Jay Kennedy, about the pursuit cars. It's possible that the pursuit cars are using much more rear wing. That's going to give them extra aerodynamic grip in the front part of the circuit, but it's going to hurt them here on the Mario Andretti straight. Sebastian Flock has said that he is running higher wing, and considering that Bowler is his stablemate, he might just be as well. Speaking of pursuit, actually, seeing Sebastian Flock up the inside of Simon Mazzomo, and he could make the move here for 4th place into the last corner. You see that lack of straight line speed from the extra wing he's running, but the move is made beautifully there, and of course that extra aero grip on the rear will allow him to push a little harder here in the final sector.
Yeah, still no cars coming through there around that halfway, so might be seeing a few of the cars going in a little bit later on there. Javon Wood doing pretty well there, but it's just as I say, they're off into the grass. Gee, only came within maybe a metre or so of the wall, so very, very lucky and a great recovery. So he's all the way back on the attack again after losing that spot.
That he is. Well, unfortunately, he's lost out a little bit to Kyle Booth as we ride on board here with Cameron Dance, looking to catch up Matthew Bowler. See if that wing level prediction holds true. Good exit from Bowler. Good exit from Dance as well. They're pretty even when it comes to the low speed stuff. But then let's see what the Fitstyle Motorsport driver can do down the back stretch. I'm seeing him already start to close the gap, but is he going to be close enough by the time they get to the turn? Doesn't look like it. Dance is going to have to stay behind for now. And Race Control has posted some more news, which is not good news for Ryan Jones. We saw that he ended up trying up the inside of Adam Marsh and ended up taking them both out. Jones has gotten a license point penalty for that, unfortunately. Jones ended up retiring the car before an in-session penalty could be confirmed, so Race Control have applied some points to Ryan Jones's license. A little bit of a slap on the wrist for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ryan Jones's night gone from bad to worse. He's probably packed up his bat and ball for tonight, and then probably
in fact, he has.
Yeah. So to hear that news, probably not too great there, but I'm sure he'll be able to be a very distant memory come next week as we have a look though. But Van Treek all over the back there. I think that might be either Snell or Alex John there of
It
the
is
top
Alex
split car,
John.
and they're actually coming up on him very, very quickly.
Yeah, good battle for 8th place here. Nicholas Gariich is in his own little world at the moment, just completely free of this fight. And Alex John starting to come under pressure from Joshua Van Treek, Sam Muir, Dean Powell, and Sebastian Vandel. Powell has been good coming into the second race here. Remember, he didn't have the best performance in qualifying, but when it's come to race conditions, it seems the Black Hawk Motorsport driver has definitely got some extra pace.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you can just see how hard these cars are just fighting that traction there. Little bump there over that big sweeping turn too. So, so I just saw. Not only was an off track there, but it almost made it into a good attacking move there from behind there of Sebastian Vardnell. So
Cameron Dance has made his way past Matthew Bowler for second while we've been looking at this battle. We did catch it live. My apologies. I was obviously looking at a different part of the circuit. Continue, Nick.
No, absolutely. So great work on the back of that. Great work there by Cameron Dance. So he's about 0.5 of a second clear of Ryan Bowler. So he's going to have just enough of a gap, but you'd have to say they're Bowler, but absolutely walking away with it at the moment. Not all the way down the track though, about 0.9 to about a second there to Cameron Dance.
Yeah, it seems that Bo Albert has this race sorted for the time being, but we focus still on this battle for 8th. A lot of pressure here for Alex John, but he's crucially managed to gain a slight gap over Joshua Van Treek. This number 98 here is Sam Muir. It actually looks like so far it's been the inverse of race 1 for him. He qualified in 10th for race 1 and finished 14th. This time, he is 14th on the grid for race 2 and now back into 10th.
Yeah, absolutely. So great to be inside that magic top 10 mark. We're actually seeing a really good spread there as well of all three of those classes. Gee, we do see
Snell.
one of the... Yeah, that is Ben Snell. So that's going to push him all the way back down. I think he was well inside that top 10. So that's put him down in a 12th there. About 2 seconds adrift of that car in behind. So he's pretty well in safe. If he can try and get that momentum happening again, he might be able to get back around those, I think those 3 cars or so that he lost that position.
Well, this is how he did it. Going too deep into moss and left side tyres into the gravel, and when he got the fronts back on track, they gripped up, which just made the rear swing around. Fortunately, he was able to stay out of the way of everyone else, and doing the right thing there was Ben to reverse off the track with that pack of cars coming up. His teammate Alex John right there would have seen him and thought, oh no, unfortunate there for Ben Snell, and it looks like he's taken the opportunity to go into the pits and get his fuel stop out of the way. Meanwhile, Cameron Dance, it seems, has fallen back a little bit here. He's come back under pressure from Matthew Bowler.
Yeah, Matthew Bowler just putting a bit of pressure on there at the moment. He's not really close enough, though, to put in an attack, though, but potentially between these two, if he can try and sit him behind that draft, he might even be able to save a couple of those precious millilitres of fuel coming through the back part of the circuit.
Yeah, that can indeed make all the difference. Well, with the pit stops completed for a few of our drivers, we have our eye in on just how long a fuel stop might take. Corey Shepherd stopped for 7.4 seconds. Ben Snell stopped for 6.6. So we're looking for drivers to run around 6 to 8 seconds stopped in the pit box. Here we go as Ben Snell actually... Who is that? That is Corey Shepherd, sorry. Getting my green cars confused. Shepherd's been working his way steadily up. Don't forget, Job Stewart hasn't taken his fuel stop yet. He has visited the pits once, but that was to repair damage from the lap 1 incident. So unless Stewart is saving fuel like a madman, he's going to have to come in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that there's probably a joke there, saving fuel like a madman to wedge in there with the current fuel prices here at the moment, though. We have seen car number 4 back out on circuit, so I think we were talking a little bit earlier about that fuel burn there, Reese. I think it worked out to be about 2 litres a lap or so.
Yeah, something around that. At least that's what Ryan Jones told us on the way into the event. So that basically means that if Job Stewart wants to make the rest of this race without stopping again, he's going to have to save something like 300 to 400 millilitres of fuel a lap, which is certainly no mean feat. As we check out Flock and Mazomo once again in the battle for 4th. Flock, of course, managing to get past Mazomo some laps ago, but Simon is not letting him get away, as that's some good racing there between the 110 and the 47. Matthew Kidd almost having a look up the inside of Javon Wood. Oh, sorry, Kyle Booth. My apologies. But hasn't worked out for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So just holding on here at the moment. We've seen everyone spread out quite a lot, actually. Almost about, I think it's about a minute or so, all the way down to around that 20th position. So most of our cars, though, on that lead lap. A couple of retirements, obviously, including Ryan Jones that we saw a little bit earlier. On board, though, with the number 47. Looking back at car 100, though. This is a VRS replay.
That's Kyle Booth making his way past the car of Matthew Kidd. Good move there, and Kidd almost getting into the back of him, so it was actually an attempt at taking the position back. Either way, nice textbook move there. Around the outside in the draft, as there's further problems, it seems, for Ben Snell. Didn't quite get through the first part of Moss that well, it seems. He's back down in 17th as we have further takers onto the lane. Nicholas Garriich, chief among them. In the last couple of laps, we've also had Alex John, Tyson Broad, and Dean Powell visit the pit lane.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. We did see, I think, about 7 seconds or so from some of the cars. So the super fast pit stops here. Going to cut to a replay at the moment there, Ben Snell. So his luck gone from bad to worse. So he was in behind, I think, Alex John.
Yeah.
Alex John there of top speed. Oh, big tank slapper.
Yeah, just caught the grass on the outside. Under brakes for Moss. And, well, you catch the grass in any car, you're just going to spin around. Very unfortunate there for Ben. But he will try and continue as best he can. He's already come in for his stop, by the way. This is the view on board from Sebastian Vandel. And actually, yeah, it was a tank slapper. My apologies, Nick. You did catch that properly. Just getting on the brakes at the wrong time. The rear end swung round as Albert and Dance, Bowler, Flock and Mazomo, all of our top 5 in the pit lane at the moment. Who wins the battle of the pit crews? Albert's already gone here. Cameron Dance gets going. Good stuff there from him. Sam Muir on track, taking the overall lead of the race. Matthew Bowler, though, has gotten back ahead. And Bowler, well, actually, no. He stayed ahead of Sebastian Flock. My apologies. I'm a little bit out of sorts tonight. Van Treek and Kidd, meanwhile, both in the pits as well. Van Treek completes that pit stop, and he's going to come out around about 13th place, it seems, ahead of Tyson Broad. So the top 5 stays the same, the top 6 even. Actually, yeah, the effective top 5, because Muir has yet to come into the lane. He's the last car out on track that hasn't come in for a stop. Now, the pit window started at lap 8, and what does it go to? Because we have 7 laps to go. So we'll have to wait and see whether Sam Muir decides to come in. If Job Stewart hasn't saved fuel and is using 2.1 litres a lap, he has to come in on the next lap. And the pit window closes on lap 20. Speaking of, there is Sam Muir into the lane. and now we're just waiting on Job Stewart potentially to take his final stop. I really don't think that that it's possible to save that much around here, but even though he is in the draft of Corey Shepherd.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd have to say there some such big, wide open sections you can't really sit in as much. You can kind of do it around these. You can see how much wheel work is required coming around those big sweeping turns 2 and 3. Big braking zone. Such a beautiful circuit here of Canadian Mosport Park. Hopefully it's not under snow there at the moment. Does get pretty cold up here during the winter.
Oh, and there's been problems for Sam Muir coming out of the pit lane, as there is Stewart getting up the inside of Shepherd at Moss. Hasn't worked out for him though. Shepherd stays ahead. But Sam Muir, on his way out of the pit lane, ended up running wide in turn 2. He went for a half spin, and unfortunately that sent him right into the path of Joshua Van Treek. So Van Treek now has a fair amount of damage to deal with, as round the outside goes Job Stewart. Brilliant move here. Goodness me, will Corey Shepherd be able to hold him off any? This is great racing for sure. Oh, up the inside coming into the last corner. Shepherd keeps the position. Job's going to try and go for it here at turn 1. Squeezed all the way to the inside. Shepherd has to tighten up the entry. Shepherd, with the line round the outside, is not able to hold on. And Stewart gets by on the way into turn 2.
Yeah, what a move there by Job Stewart. Absolutely pinpointed that as well. You can see even Corey Shepherd was trying to push him over the inside of the circuit, trying to do a cross there. Shallow line there by Corey Shepherd. That's going to cost him a bit of momentum coming out there. And you'd have to say that Thomas Hinds definitely in that opportunistic position there. He can just see these two fight it out so close there. But you'd have to say the experience of Job Stewart and Corey Shepherd, though, very unlikely. An incident there. Gee, Corey Shepherd using all the track and then more.
Well, the pit window has already closed, so Job Stewart likely won't be able to jump on in for a stop and have it really count. But there is what happened to the 98 of Sam Muir with that big slide. Unfortunately, he was just a passenger when that concluded. Will Stewart have to come into the lane? Yes, he is. Oh, goodness me. With only a few laps to go. It's all down to a night of ups and downs here for Job Stewart. Remember, came across the line in first place in race 1, and thanks to that incident, turn 1, race 2, he is not going to get a great result from this one.
Yeah, definitely a round to forget, as we've seen with quite a few drivers here at the moment. Alex John with Sebastian Vardnell back, and then Job Stewart back out on track here, so currently in that 13th position, so not the, really not the round that he was hoping for.
Yes, well, this is giving a big free kick to the likes of Bo Albert and Cameron Dance. Job Stewart did have a red-hot go at saving fuel, but ultimately it wasn't quite enough for him. Just a few laps to go here, and Bo Albert leads by 0.8 of a second from Cameron Dance, and it seems to me that Dance is happy sitting in second for the time being. Of course, being the tenacious racer he is, he'll try his best to catch up to Bo, but it seems that the Altus is the car with the superior pace.
Yeah, absolutely. You just have to say Altus just so strong here at the moment, especially with Cooper Webster leading the championship. Bo Albert there also well and truly up the standings. It's going to be such a positive round for the team.
It shall be, but Cooper Webster technically not competing for Altus Esports this season. He's joined up with Red Bull Esports in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, so he is driving under that banner in this series, but certainly his teammates at Altus will be cheering him on nonetheless. Corey Shepherd and Thomas Hinds, meanwhile, are back together on track after coming together, turn 1, lap 1. What happens between these two? Seems that Shepherd still has a good amount of pace on Thomas Hinds, but if there's ever an ever so slight mistake from the 718, then Hinsey will be right there to take advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. But you can just see that gap opening up between those two. Really able to make too much of a dent though, but consistency is key there, and you'd have to say there with two top 5 positions there from Thomas Hinz. Still walking away with a great bank of points here at Canadian Mosport.
Indeed. Double top 10 would be great for Hinsey, considering what went on for he and Corey Shepherd. The fact that they both managed to work their way back into the top 10 is a testament to their skill. Meanwhile, Sebastian Vandel in 10th place trying to chase down Alex John. This is for the Pro-Am class win, I believe. No, Mazomo is Pro-Am. He is currently in the lead of Pro-Am in 5th place. So this is a fight for 2nd in the Pro-Am class. Let's take a look then, see what Sebastian Vandel can do. And it looks like we have gone time certain for this race. We're going to run 1 lap short. It is the final lap. And Bo Albert and Cameron Dance are just coming into the final complex of corners now. Well, the Altus Esports 06. He didn't get the result that he quite would have wanted in race 1, having to settle for 3rd after taking pole, but Bo Albert will certainly be happy with this one. Crosses the line in 1st place. Bo Albert is your winner of race 2, and Cameron Dance in 2nd place. Bo Albert will take the round win from that, I'd imagine. It's a Pursuit Sim Racing 3-4 there for Matt Bowler and Sebastian Flock, and Mazomo takes the AM class win. There goes Shepherd and Hinz across the line too, as there's still racing going on here for 2nd and Pro-Am between Alex John and Sebastian Vandel. Doesn't look like it's worked out in Vandel's favour, though he did give it a red-hot go at the final corner. Last couple of positions being decided here. Jay Schultz, Stephen Griffiths in the number 67 trying to catch up to him. Schultz a little bit wide there in the penultimate corner, the 3rd last, sorry, as there's big racing there between Powell and Wood for 17th and 18th. Who's going to come out on top there? Oh, goodness, it looks like Wood's just going to get him at the line. Whew. Yeah,
all the way onto the grass there on the outside, so great action between those. So you even see a little bit of that front end damage there of that 999 car, but great work there. Almost, so you could say they're a dominant victory there by Bo Albert.
Yeah, once he got into the lead, he was not giving it up. And they fly in formation down the back stretch. That's actually a really nice shot, that. They've got the number 23 with them as well, of Matt Marsh and that purple machine. And catching right back up is Sebastian Vandel. Brilliant stuff for Altus Esports, tasting a bit more success in this series after some difficult luck in the opening rounds of the season. The season might just be on track for the blue, white and gold machines, but we can't discount Cameron Dance either, as he finishes 2nd, 7/10 behind Bo Albert. Bowler, Flock and Mazomo, your top 5, with Shepherd and Hinz 6th and 7th. Nicholas Garriott takes the AM win for the 2nd race in a row there. Brilliant performance from the 66, with Alex John and Sebastian Vandel rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, and then great work there in 11th place there, Tyson Broad. Ben Snell there, great recovery drive by Ben, was off the track I think a couple of times there. Job Stewart, I think almost pitted 3 times, so great to collect that 13th place there. Kyle Booth, Joe Schultz, Steve Griffiths, Javin Wood, Dean Power, Matt Kidd there, and Joshua Van Schreek there in 20th position.
21st, a lap down, was Adam Marsh. Matt Marsh retiring 3 laps down. Sam Muir unfortunately couldn't make it back out after completing his stop and then ultimately having a spin. And Ryan Jones, another retirement from this one, with some license point penalties hanging over his head. That's going to end off the racing action, and surely, very soon, we will get our top 3 drivers into the commentary box. First of which being Bo Albert. It looks like it's a round win for you, Bo. Great turnaround after your opening 3 rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an interesting start to the season. I mean, it's a long one, so every point matters. So came into this one, just wanted to bank some points, just because obviously I had quite a bad round 1. Just trying to get some momentum moving forward. And this was a pretty perfect way to do it. Mosport has been, especially the Porsche, has been a bit of a tricky hunting ground for me. So a bit of redemption tonight, and I'll absolutely take it.
That you will, and considering the racing here at this track, it all comes down to the draft, and losing the lead in race one like you did, and working your way back through trying to pressure Corey Shepherd for that second place. There's really a big element of high-speed chess, I guess you could say here.
Absolutely, raw pace around here does matter to some degree, and that will always help you win races, but being able to play the draft and know what laps to attack, what laps not to attack, it does make a huge difference at the end of it all. I probably got it wrong. I say I got it wrong in race one, but at the same time, I was having too much fun with it. So you could just battle so well and race side by side through so many sections of corners of this track that I thought, we're killing our tires here. We're falling back to the pack behind, but I don't really care. This is just fun. It's a good track to race at. But yeah, in the final stages of race one in particular, I sort of toned it back a little bit, let Corey get back up to Job, see if he could maybe make something happen there. He wasn't able to, so on the last lap I thought, all right, well, if you're not going for it, I'll give it a crack and see how we go, but it wasn't to be. So podium in race one, but better race two.
Indeed, and considering what you said about how fun it is to race around here, is it also fun to race around Mid-Ohio in these cars? Because that's where we're going next round.
Mid-Ohio is a bit like riding a motorbike in your lounge room. It is terrifying how close to the grass at every single corner you have to be to get lap time out of it. So going side by side through there will be pretty intimidating. But hey, if it all goes wrong at Mid-Ohio, it's a sprint format, so we get 3 attempts at it. So look, I think it'll be pretty fun regardless.
Certainly in agreement with you there, Bo. Well, anyone you'd like to thank for your victory tonight? Who gets it done for you?
I just want to give a big shout out to the guys at Logitech G Altus Esports and our title sponsor in Logitech G for their support. Bloody amazing. Can't thank them enough. And of course, Virtual Racing School, Cube Controls, Own 3D, and Race Tech Gaming as well. Awesome support. And just a shout out as well to the boys Cam Dance, Matt Bowler, Simon Mazomo, and Seb Flock for a very entertaining voice call tonight. It was good fun, and thanks to you guys for the broadcast too.
Thank you for joining us, Bo Albert, round winner here tonight at Mosport. Second place on the road in race 2 was Cameron Dance. Nick is stood by with him.
Yeah, congratulations, Cam, on that second in the feature race. You must have been pretty pumped about that.
Yeah, obviously a really, really good result to come away from the night. Obviously, didn't quite go to plan in race 1 with a slight understeer issue, so made some changes to the car in race 2, and it seemed to really hook up. So yeah, can't complain at all.
And I know, in particular, the crew there from TechSense Fitzy do quite a lot of preparations in regards to their races. Was there a lot of work that went into this this effort that you put in tonight?
To be honest, no, there was absolutely none. I literally rocked up with no laps, having worked all day in a 12-hour shift as well. So yeah, look, it wasn't too ideal to turn up with no laps and not know what to expect. But hey, at the end of the day, the set worked really, really well. That we ended up using, it was the Red Bull set that we used in Flat 6. So it was really, really good. So I can't complain at all.
Absolutely. Sorry about that, Cam. I almost threw you under the bus there, but yeah, definitely such a great effort tonight. Any people and sponsors you'd like to thank?
Yeah, obviously, just first of all, shout out to the boys at TechSense Fitstone Motorsport, as always, and obviously our partners, TechSense Sensors, Renville Harnesses, Fight CRC, Demon Tweaks, Major's Garage, Sim3D. Obviously, you boys for putting on the awesome broadcast for everyone. Tom and the boy Dan for the awesome series, and all the boys for being in Discord and making a top 5 lockout.
No problems at all. Well, yeah, congratulations again. Such a strong result here at Canadian Mosport Park. I think we have Matthew Bowley here as our third place finisher.
We do indeed. Hello, Matthew. Congratulations on the third in race 2. It was slightly, it was a bit of a difficult one in race 1, especially with the very close racing that sprint race provided. But certainly working your way up as you did, holding on to that top 5 in race 2 and holding on for third, that was a fantastic result for you.
Yeah. Well, hey guys. Yeah, race 1 didn't really go to plan. I was struggling a lot with understeer. The front of the car wouldn't really turn in too well. So I tried to fix that for race 2, and knowing my setup knowledge, I did the complete opposite. So yeah, I just had to try and hold off the guys. I got a pretty decent start in both races, but yeah, I knew once everyone had gotten past the slower people that yeah, they were coming for me. So I had to try and hold off Bo and Cam, and I was a bit fortunate that all the other guys who started, you know, in the 10 and that ended up getting taken out, which is a bit unfortunate, but I'm obviously fortunate for myself. So yeah, pretty happy to get third. It's been a while since I've been on the podium, so pretty stoked with it.
As you should be. And a question about the setup. We did get confirmation from Sebastian Flock that he was running a higher wing angle. Were you doing the same? And was that roughly the change that you were trying to make for race 2?
Yeah, well, I noticed it in race 1. I was running, I think, 7 wing, which is what Seb was on, and we thought that was, you know, a pretty good wing angle, but some of the people were running like 4 or 5. So in race 1, I think Hinzi was just flying away on the straight against me, and I was like, oh god. So yeah, well, I didn't really want to make the wing adjustment going into the second race and not having any knowledge of what the car would do or how it behaves. So I just stuck with it, you know, stuck to more downforce, and I mean the car felt good, but yeah, it was just lacking the turn in on the front. So I just had to do what I could at the time.
Well, regardless, you still come away with a podium here at this round, and that should serve you well in the championship standings. Who do you have to thank for the result tonight?
I just want to thank the guys at Pursuit Racing, everyone that's raced tonight, and obviously Dan, Tom, and AOG League for putting this on for us. It's good fun to do this every 2 weeks, and obviously you guys at SimSpeed.
Matthew Bowler there, third place on the road in race 2. We've got 2 more winners to talk to tonight. The first off, our Pro-Am winner, Simon Mazzomo, coming home with a 5th place finish in race 2, stood by with Nick Scarrier.
Yeah, congratulations, Simon. That was such a strong result. Great work there as well. Having that advantage there, starting on that front row.
Yeah, that definitely made the difference in this one. It was once I got the start, and I got word that a few of the other big guys, so the other front runners, got caught up in that first lap incident. That sort of was like the opportunity. It was like, right, okay, I've got an opportunity to get a good result here, and it was just sort of mainly watching that gap back to Ben Snell, because I knew he was in that fight, and obviously the guys I was battling with, not the championship hunt, not really too concerned, but it was just watching that gap between Snell, and I knew I had the pace to cover him, but obviously he made a mistake sort of midway through the race, and that was basically it. I just had to get it home from there. So it was
Sorry there, Simon. Yeah, very unfortunate there for Ben Snell. I think he had a couple of off tracks there which really shuffled him down the order, but such a great result, and I'm sure that there was quite a lot of preparation coming into tonight.
There was. I had a friend give me a bit of a helping hand with just a few tips around this track, and they obviously made a huge difference. So, yeah, I really wasn't overly sure on my pace was going to be. This has not been a strong track for me. I always really struggle around here, but you know, Barber was another place I really struggled in, and I felt a bit robbed at Barber. I didn't get the Pro-Am win, so I sort of threw as much as I can at this one, and you know, that little help I got sort of made a huge difference. So yeah, it was one of those things. Once I got out the front and everything else, it was just I'm not letting this one go. Like this is a bit of redemption for me. I deserve to win at Barber, so I made sure I did everything I could to get the job done tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, congratulations again. Such a strong result there, and in that class as well. So you must be pretty pumped with that. And any people and sponsors you'd like to thank?
Perks of being a privateer, I don't have to thank sponsors. But thanks to all the boys in the chat tonight. They were all really, really awesome. They know who they are. Big thanks to AOG for putting on this series. Like, it's one of the best series that you can find out there at the moment, and I just love coming back to doing this thing. And yeah, big thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast. It's awesome as always.
Yeah, well, congratulations again, Simon Zoma, and I'm sure we'll see you with another strong result in our future rounds coming up.
Indeed, we shall. And the final driver we're going to talk to is Nicholas Gariich, AM Class winner. Well, Nicholas, you've already shown this season that you have what it takes to take the AM Championship by a mile, but you were especially fast here at Mosport tonight.
Yeah, a bit surprising with me quali pace. Just the last lap I had in qualifying, just the car just hooked up, and yeah, I've sort of surprised myself with that qualifying position.
Well, double top 10 finish here tonight, starting off the pole position in race 2. What was it like from your perspective, having all of those drivers behind you just raring to try and take position? What was the pressure like?
It fairly got the heart pumping. First time on pole, and yeah, don't have the pace to keep it, so it's a bit stressful knowing you have faster guys coming through that will want to pass you. So I just sort of, if they looked like they were going to try and make a move, I just made it a bit easier and just tried to, because I knew I had the class lead by a fair bit, so I just wanted to sort of hold that. So I just made it easy for them.
Well, you retain the AM Class lead, no surprise there, but going into Mid-Ohio next week, what are your thoughts on that place? Do you have much experience around there?
Not a hell of a lot. I think I've done a couple of races in the V8s, but nothing in the Porsche, so yeah, looking forward to it. Get a few practice laps in this week and next week and come out ready to go. Hopefully get a class win.
We'll see, and maybe we'll have another chance to talk to you. But before we let you go, anyone that you'd like to thank from your garage, Nicholas?
I'd like to thank Geary Booth Motorsports. It's another class 1-2 for us tonight, so we're happy with that. Our main partners are Tech Engineering, Marley Constructions, and Inox Lubricants. And all you guys in the commentary, you do an awesome job.
Thanks very much, Nicholas Gariich, the AM Class winner here tonight. Well, that brings to an end proceedings for this night of racing. Nick, what a fun night it was here in the AOG Porsche Cup. But of course, we go to Mid-Ohio next round on the 29th of March. That's going to be something special. We've got the sprint format, 3 very short 15-minute races around this brilliant sports car circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a course that we've seen so much lately in the leagues, though, but definitely a favourite of mine over the Mid-Ohio. I think last time I was in a GTE, so I'm sure that we'll see these Porsches absolutely fly around this course.
That we shall, and you'll be able to catch that, as I said, on the 29th of March at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. But the fun isn't going to stop on SimSpeed TV this week. Tomorrow night, we go back to dirt racing once again. The Oceanic Dirt Sim Events 410 Sprint Car Championship is going off at 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow. I'll be in the commentary box with Cameron Dance for that. We're racing at Volusia Speedway Park. But for the time being, we will say our goodbyes here on SimSpeed TV. I'm Reese Gardner. It was Nick Scarrier alongside me and Jay Kennedy on production. Thanks once again to Aussie Online Gaming for putting this series on, and Sam Blacklock Media for their support of this series. Bye for now, but not forever. We'll see you next time.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got really outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?